Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're talking about something called Nightshade, and it's basically a digital poison pill, a weapon that could be aimed right at the heart of generative AI. So let's just jump right in with this question. Can you actually break a billion-dollar AI model with, say, less than 100 images? I mean, we've all seen what these massive text-to-image models can do, right? The stuff they generate, it's just incredible. It feels almost untouchable. But what if? What if there's a hidden weak spot? And the reason they feel untouchable is because of the sheer scale we're talking about. I mean, today's big AI image generators, think Stable Diffusion, they're trained on billions of images. Billions, scraped from every nook and cranny of the web. And because of that huge scale, the general thinking has always been, well, they're just too big to fail, too big to poison. You'd need to sneak in millions of poisoned images to even make a dent. And that's pretty much impossible. Or so we thought.
So this brings us to a team of researchers at the University of Chicago. They basically looked at this idea of an unpoisonable AI and said, let's test that. They went searching for a chink in the armor of these digital giants. And honestly, what they discovered might just change the whole game.
And what they found is this really clever vulnerability. They call it concept sparsity. Okay, so here's the big idea. Yeah, the AI trains on billions of images in total, but for any one specific thing, like say a dragon or a car, the number of training images is actually pretty small. It's like you don't have to poison the whole ocean. You just have to find the one well that everyone's drinking from. And this table? This really puts it in perspective. Take a look at the data from LA Ion, which is a huge data set these models use. The word dragon shows up in less than 0.05% of the data. That's tiny. And for a word like alien, it's even less. That right there, that's the weak spot. That's the chink in the armor.
So because there are so few images for any one concept, it opens up this window for a really targeted attack. To prove it could work, the researchers ran a super simple test. They called it a dirty label attack. All they did was feed the AI a bunch of pictures of cats, but they told the AI, hey, these are dogs.
And, well, check this out. The results are just wild. On the left, you've got a normal, healthy AI. You ask for a dog, you get a dog. Makes sense. But on the right, after feeding it just a couple hundred of those wrongly labeled cat pictures, the model is totally confused. Now, when you ask it for a dog, it gives you a cat. It actually worked. The poison took hold.
And they did it again with other things too. Here, they're teaching the AI that a cow is a car. So, okay, it's a really clear proof of concept, right? These giant models can be poisoned. But there's a catch. This kind of attack is, well, it's really easy to spot. I mean, if you're scraping data and you see a picture of a cat with a labeled dog, you're just going to filter that out, right? It's junk data. So for the poison to be really dangerous, it needed to be stealthy. It had to be invisible. And that's where they came up with the real weapon, a tool they call Nightshade. Okay, so this is where things get really, really clever. Nightshade is a highly optimized attack. What it does is create these poison images that are, to you and me, completely invisible. We can't see the poison at all. But to an AI, it's a different story. It's basically a three-step process. First, you pick a concept you want to poison. Let's stick with dog. Step 2, you pick what you want to corrupt it into. Let's say a cat. Now step 3, this is the magic. Nightshade takes a real picture of a dog and makes these tiny, microscopic changes to it, perturbations that are totally invisible to us. But these changes are designed to make the image, in the AI's internal brain, look a lot more like a cat. So even though we see a dog, the AI starts to learn that the features of a dog are actually the features of a cat. Okay, look at these two pictures of the dog. Seriously, can you tell which one is the poison? Of course you can't. To our eyes, they're identical. But for the AI, one of these is pure poison. It looks like a dog, it's labeled as a dog, but to the machine, deep down in the code, it's screaming cat. So we've got this incredibly powerful, stealthy weapon. The obvious next question is, what's the actual damage? What happens when you unleash this on a real state-of-the-art model, like Stable Diffusion XL? Get this. It takes less than 100 of these poisoned images. Let that sink in. Not millions, not thousands. Fewer than 100 little poison pills in a dataset of billions. And that's all you need to totally mess up one specific concept. So let's look at the fallout. On the left, a normal AI giving you a normal picture of a car. But on the right, after it's been fed just a few dozen images of cars that were nightshaded to look like cows, at least in the AI's internal map, its feature space, the model just breaks. It starts spitting out these weird, distorted, kind of cow-car hybrids.
And it's not just for physical objects either. It works on styles, on abstract ideas. Here, they poisoned the concept of cubism. The healthy model on the left gives you exactly what you'd expect. But the poisoned model on the right, it generates this warped, totally different mosaic style. The original concept is just gone.
And sometimes the results are just bizarre. In this one, they decided to poison the concept of a handbag and turn it into a toaster. So on the left, normal handbag. On the right, the poison model's best guess, which is, I gotta say, a pretty fancy-looking toaster.
So you might be thinking, wow, this is just a tool for chaos, for breaking things. But the really interesting part is, the researchers who created Nightshade, they don't see it that way. They're actually proposing it as a defensive tool, a way for artists and creators to fight back.
Think about it. The whole idea is that artists who are constantly having their work scraped without their permission to train these giant models, well, now they can shade their art before they put it online. So if a big AI company comes along and scrapes their portfolio against their will, they're not just getting free training data anymore. They're unknowingly feeding their billion-dollar model a poison pill that's going to rot it from the inside.
And that really leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? For so long, the fight over AI training data has been completely one-sided. But with something like Nightshade, creators suddenly have a way to fight back, to poison the very wells these AIs drink from. So, is this the new front line in the battle for digital ownership? We could be witnessing the start of a whole new kind of arms race.